Hello, truth seekers and language explorers. Welcome to English Voice Stories. Step back with us, thousands of years, to a time shrouded in legend, in a land of ancient wisdom. We are about to speak a name that represents one of the most profound searches in human history, a search for understanding, for freedom, for peace in a world filled with pain. This is the story of a prince who had everything: luxury, power, love, but chose to give it all away. A man who faced the deepest fears of existence and found not just answers, but a path for billions to follow. It is a journey filled with unexpected turns, intense struggles, moments of deep insight, and a transformation so complete it echoes through time. It's a story crafted to capture your heart, ignite your mind, and help you master English through its powerful narrative and timeless lessons. This is English Voice Stories, and this is the story of Siddhartha Gautama, who became the Buddha, the Awakened One. Get ready to journey from a palace of dreams to the heart of ultimate reality. The story begins now. Our story begins around 2,500 years ago, in a small kingdom nestled in the foothills of the majestic Himalayas, in what is now Nepal. The ruler of this kingdom was King Suddhodana, a respected leader of the Shakya clan. His wife, Queen Maya, was known for her virtue and grace. To them, a son was born, given the name Siddhartha Gautama. From the moment of his birth, Siddhartha was marked as special. Wise men and seers made prophecies. They said the boy would either become a great world ruler, an emperor who united lands, or a great spiritual leader who would bring peace to the world. King Suddhodana, like any father, wanted the greatest destiny for his son, and he preferred the path of a mighty king. He believed that to become an emperor, his son must never know suffering, never see the pain of the world. So the king built Siddhartha a world of perfect pleasure and protection. He ordered the construction of 3 magnificent palaces, one for each season: cool for summer, warm for winter, and beautiful for the monsoon rains. The walls surrounding these palaces were high, designed to keep out everything unpleasant. Inside, Siddhartha was surrounded by beauty, lush gardens, sparkling fountains, and servants chosen for their youth, health, and pleasant appearance. He was entertained by dancers and musicians. He was given the finest clothes, the most delicious food, every comfort imaginable. Anyone old, sick, or suffering was kept far away, hidden from his sight. Siddhartha grew up in this golden cage. He was intelligent, sensitive, and naturally contemplative. While mastering the skills of a prince, archery, horsemanship, statecraft, his mind often seemed to look deeper than the surface of his privileged life. There are stories of his early compassion, like saving a swan injured by his jealous cousin Devadatta, showing a tenderness for life even then. As a young man, he married the beautiful princess Yasodhara, and they had a son whom they named Rahula. From the outside, Prince Siddhartha had the perfect life: health, wealth, power, a loving family. It seemed the prophecy of a great king was well on its way to being fulfilled. But deep within him, a quiet unease stirred. Despite all the pleasure, there was a subtle sense of something missing, a question about the deeper meaning of existence. This seemingly perfect life was about to face a series of profound twists, hidden away for so long. As Siddhartha reached his late 20s, a growing curiosity led him to venture outside the palace walls, accompanied by his loyal charioteer, Channa. These excursions were carefully planned by the king to show only pleasant sights, but fate, or perhaps destiny, intervened. On his first trip outside, Siddhartha saw something that stopped him in his tracks. It was a man, frail and bent over, his skin wrinkled, his hair white, struggling to walk. Siddhartha had never seen anything like it among the eternally youthful residents of his palaces. "Channa, what is this?" he asked. Channa explained it was an old man, and that this is the fate of all human beings, if they live long enough: aging, weakness, the decline of the body. Siddhartha was deeply troubled. The realization that he too would grow old was a shock to his carefully constructed world. On a second trip, he encountered a man writhing in pain, his body weak and feverish, crying out in agony. "What is wrong with him?" Siddhartha asked, his heart aching. Channa explained it was a sick person, suffering from disease, and that sickness is a part of life that can strike anyone at any time, regardless of their wealth or status. Siddhartha was shaken to his core. The vulnerability of the human body, the possibility of pain, was a terrifying revelation. On a third trip, his eyes fell upon a procession carrying a covered body, followed by people weeping and mourning. "What is happening?" he asked, his voice hushed. Channa explained it was a dead person, and this was a funeral. He explained that death is the inevitable end for all living beings. Life, as we know it, stops. This was the most profound shock yet. Aging, sickness, and now death. The three great forms of suffering that no palace, no wealth, no power could ultimately protect against. The foundation of his sheltered world crumbled in these three sights. These first three encounters filled Siddhartha with deep sorrow and a sense of urgency. His beautiful palace, his pleasures, his own youth and health. They all felt temporary, fragile, overshadowed by the inevitability of suffering. This fourth sight planted a seed in Siddhartha's mind. There was a path, a different way of living, dedicated to understanding and perhaps overcoming the suffering he had just witnessed. The serene face of the ascetic offered a vision of peace that the frantic pursuit of pleasure in his palace could never provide. The realization of universal suffering burned within Siddhartha. The luxurious palace now felt like a prison. His comfortable life seemed meaningless in the face of aging, sickness, and death. He knew he could not continue living in ignorance. His destiny was not to rule a kingdom on earth, but to find a way to conquer the suffering that afflicted all beings. In the middle of the night, Siddhartha made the most difficult decision of his life, the great renunciation. While his family slept, he took one last look at his sleeping wife and child, his heart heavy with love and pain, knowing he must leave them to fulfill a greater purpose. He left the palace, cut off his royal hair, exchanged his rich clothes for simple robes, and became a wandering ascetic, a seeker of truth. This was an unimaginable twist, a prince giving up literally everything he had to become a penniless wanderer. The emotional weight of the sacrifice, leaving behind love for the sake of finding a universal truth, is a powerful part of his story. For the next 6 years, Siddhartha dedicated himself completely to his search. He sought out renowned spiritual teachers of the time, learning their philosophies and meditation techniques. He quickly mastered their teachings, reaching high states of concentration, but he found that they did not provide the ultimate answer, the permanent end to suffering he was seeking. It was another twist in his path. The most respected wisdom of his time was not enough. Seeking a more direct path, he joined a group of 5 ascetics who practiced extreme self-denial. Siddhartha surpassed them all in his rigorous practices. He ate only tiny amounts of food, endured pain and discomfort, exposed himself to the elements. He pushed his body to the absolute limit, becoming emaciated, his bones visible through his skin, believing that punishing the physical body would somehow liberate the mind and lead to enlightenment. But near death from starvation and weakness, meditating one day, he realized something crucial. This extreme asceticism was not working. It was only weakening him, making his mind dull, not bringing the clarity he needed. It was another vital twist, the realization that the popular path of severe self-mortification was not the answer. Just as indulgence had failed him in the palace, extreme denial was also a dead end. At this critical moment, a village woman named Sujata offered him a bowl of rice milk. He accepted it, ate, and regained his strength. His 5 ascetic companions were shocked and disappointed, believing he had given up his search. They left him. But Siddhartha knew he had found a different way, a middle path between the extremes of sensual pleasure and harsh self-mortification. He realized the path to enlightenment lay not in punishing the body, but in calming and training the mind. Supported by a healthy body, strengthened and resolute, Siddhartha made his way to a town called Bodh Gaya. He sat down under a large fig tree, which would later be known as the Bodhi tree, the Tree of Awakening. He made a firm vow he would not get up from that spot until he had achieved the enlightenment, the ultimate understanding and freedom from suffering that he sought. As he meditated deeply under the tree, he faced his greatest challenge, not external enemies, but the internal battle with Mara, the tempter. Mara is often depicted as a demon, but can be understood as the personification of all the distractions, desires, fears, and doubts that keep beings trapped in suffering. Mara brought forth armies of frightening visions to scare him, beautiful temptations to lure him, and doubts to discourage him. This was the intense internal twist, the final barrier before liberation. Siddhartha faced each challenge with unwavering mindfulness and calm resolve, seeing through the illusions of desire and fear. Through his deep meditation, with his mind clear and focused, Siddhartha gained profound insights. He understood the nature of suffering, its causes rooted in craving and ignorance, its cessation and the path leading to that cessation. This understanding is summarized in what became known as the Four Noble Truths, the core of Buddhist teaching. He also saw the cyclical nature of existence, the endless round of birth, death, and rebirth driven by our actions and desires. Then, as the morning star appeared in the sky, Siddhartha Gautama achieved enlightenment. He became the Buddha, the awakened one. He had found the end of suffering, the state of ultimate peace and liberation, nirvana. The search that began in a palace and continued through years of hardship had reached its goal. After his enlightenment, the Buddha remained under the Bodhi tree for some time, experiencing the bliss of liberation. An interesting twist follows. He initially hesitated to teach what he had realized. He thought, "This truth I have found is deep, difficult to see, hard to understand. People are caught in their desires and ignorance. They will not grasp it." It seemed the path might end with just his own liberation. But then, out of his boundless compassion, seeing the suffering of the world, he decided he must try. He felt immense empathy for beings trapped in the cycle of pain and ignorance. He resolved to share the path he had found. He made his way to Sarnath, near Varanasi, where he found the 5 ascetics who had left him. They were initially skeptical, seeing that he no longer looked starved. But as he began to speak, they recognized the profound truth and authority in his words. In his first sermon, known as Turning the Wheel of Dharma, he laid out the 4 Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, the practical guide to living a life that leads to the end of suffering. The 5 ascetics became his first disciples, forming the beginning of the Sangha, the community of practitioners. For the next 45 years, the Buddha walked throughout India, teaching everyone who would listen. He taught kings and beggars, scholars and farmers, men and women, people from all castes and backgrounds. His message was universal and practical, focused on understanding the mind and reality through direct experience. He taught about impermanence, that everything is constantly changing, anicca. He taught about suffering, not just pain, but the dissatisfaction that comes from clinging to things that change, dukkha. And he taught about non-self, that there is no permanent, unchanging self or soul. What we think of as me is a combination of constantly changing elements, anatta. These insights, while seemingly simple, were profound keys to unlocking the chains of attachment and suffering. He established orders of monks and later, with some initial hesitation, another historical twist, an order of nuns, providing a path for anyone, regardless of gender or social status, to follow the spiritual life. He dealt with challenges from rivals, difficult disciples, and external criticism with wisdom, patience, and compassion. He taught through sermons, parables, and his own living example of peace and mindfulness. His daily life was simple: meditation, walking, teaching, interacting with people with immense kindness. The Buddha's final journey took him to Kusinara. Knowing his life was coming to an end, he gave his final teachings to his disciples, emphasizing the importance of relying on oneself and on the Dharma, the truth he taught, and to work out one's own liberation with diligence. He entered a state of deep meditation and passed away, achieving parinirvana, final liberation from the cycle of rebirth. His physical life ended, but the impact of his enlightenment and his teachings had just begun. His followers carried his message throughout Asia, establishing Buddhism as a major world religion. The Sangha preserved his teachings, which were eventually written down. Today, over 2 millennia later, the Buddha's teachings on mindfulness, compassion, ethics, and the nature of suffering continue to resonate with millions around the world, Buddhist and non-Buddhist alike. His path of the middle way offers a practical approach to cultivating inner peace and understanding in a complex world. He remains one of the most influential figures in human history, not for conquering lands, but for conquering the inner landscape of the mind and sharing that path with others. What powerful insights and motivational lessons can we draw from this extraordinary journey, especially for us, learning English and navigating our own lives? Look beyond the surface. Like Siddhartha seeing the 4 sights, don't accept things at face value. Look deeper. For English learners, this means going beyond simple translation. Understand the culture, the context, the different meanings of words, the nuances of expression. Be a keen observer. Question everything, even authority. Siddhartha questioned the conventional wisdom of his time and the teachings of respected masters when they didn't lead to truth. In learning, don't just accept rules blindly. Understand the why behind grammar, the different ways words are used. Be an active, questioning learner. Find your middle path. Extreme approaches often fail. The Buddha found balance. In learning English, don't study 24 hours a day and burn out, but also don't waste your time with only a few minutes now and then. Find a balanced, consistent routine that works for you. Overcome internal obstacles. The Buddha faced Mara, his inner fears and desires. Your learning journey will have moments of doubt, frustration, laziness, wanting to quit. These are your Maras. Recognize them, understand them, and keep moving forward with diligence, patience, and perseverance. Enlightenment took years of dedicated effort. Learning a language takes time and patience. There are no magical shortcuts. Be persistent, even when progress feels slow. Every moment of practice is a step on the path. Compassion and sharing. The Buddha chose to teach out of compassion. As you gain skills, including English, think about how you can use them to connect with others, to help, to share what you know. Learning can be a path to helping others and deepening connections. The story of Siddhartha Gautama is the story of a human being who, through incredible dedication, profound observation, and unwavering perseverance, transformed himself and offered a path of wisdom and peace to the world. It shows that the greatest journey is often the inner one, and that liberation from suffering, whether it's the suffering of confusion or the frustration of not being able to express yourself, is possible through understanding, effort, and the willingness to walk the path. Thank you for joining us on this deep and inspiring journey with English Voice Stories. We hope exploring the life of the Buddha has not only expanded your English skills, but also given you powerful insights to reflect on your own path, your own search for understanding and peace. If this story resonated with you, if it made you think, if it motivated you, please share it widely. Give it a like and subscribe to English Voice Stories for more narratives that entertain, educate, and inspire you to awaken your own potential. Your journey continues. Keep learning, keep observing, keep walking your path with diligence. We look forward to sharing our next story with you soon.